Hey guys, I just got done recording like 20 minutes of this and I didn't really like how it was coming out, so here we go again. I recently made the switch over to Linux because I value having control over my computers and having a vague sense of control over my privacy. And I have always valued that, as you can tell. I mostly collect physical games, and when I download games, I always download DRM free games, unless they're like multiplayer games. If I do play a free to play game, I never put money into it unless it's open source or isn't collecting any data, because I believe that we should put our money into things that we actually believe in. So if you want to see more physical, buy more physical. If you want to own what is yours, buy DRM free. And sometimes that requires us not to get certain games. It's a long-term investment into something people sometimes see as a throwaway thing. But I believe games are just as important as movies and music, and you typically wouldn't want music to be lost to time because a streaming service went down. Sadly, this happens all the time, especially with gaming, as it is the most recent form of media, and on mobile, it has pretty much always, or cell phones have pretty much always been digital storefronts. And if that can be an example of anything, it's that when things go completely digital, all you get is cash grabs, data hungry software, and games that might disappear after a couple years. I recently got a new phone on top of this new computer, and I wanted to download an Android game I spent $17 on, and it turns out it's no longer on the App Store. So I thought, oh, I'll just copy it over from my old phone. But then they updated Android where you can no longer do that. The folder the game is kept in is locked. So, luckily, I was already going to hack this phone. So I did manage to just get root access and copy what I wanted over, and luckily it still worked for some reason. But these are the things these companies are putting into place so that we can't own anything. The same thing is happening on PC and Linux, where I'm noticing most of the new games coming out are free to play, and they're not free to play because they're open source or because they have ads or because they have microtransactions. They might have all of that, might not be open source, but they really want your money, but they're also still collecting all your data, and they also have tons of vulnerabilities, and they're also still sharing that information with Google and YouTube and Amazon, and that's why no matter where you go, you will start seeing ads for things that you just talked about in a game, or you just saw in a game, or you talked about near your phone, which is getting really suspicious. But some people don't value their privacy, which I think is a big mistake, but that's a whole nother conversation. What's also important about physical is that it's a tangible thing that is affected by supply and demand. When everything is digital, it's no longer affected by supply. You would think that would mean it would be cheap, but then if it's supplied on a singular storefront, there's no longer any competition to force them to make it cheap. There's no longer a used market. And that's how they can get away with selling Call of Duty for $70 to $100 on the PlayStation Store when you can get it for $40 used. The sad thing is, with games like Call of Duty and Tony Hawk Pro Skater and the new Battlefield 6, some of those physical releases are entirely fake, and when you're no longer able to update the game or connect to the internet, they won't work. And that's scary for the future of video game preservation. So maybe you don't care about privacy, or maybe you don't care about price, but you can still care about the fact that these games could disappear in 20 years. And when I see people talk about this now, I see this response of people like, who cares? Why aren't you doing digital yet? And I think the case is pretty clear that physical keeps things tangible, physical keeps things regulated by the people who buy them. And there are still games that are coming out physically and work physically. A lot of people like to argue that it can't be done, but basically every PlayStation exclusive works off the disc. There is no reason why Battlefield's campaign or Call of Duty's campaign can't work off the disc, can't be DRM free, can't be offline in some way. And now there don't seem to be many alternatives. I thought going online I'd find a bunch of people working together on an open source project to recreate Call of Duty's multiplayer, and maybe people would be supplying their own custom packs like they do with Sims 3 mods. But what I'm finding is all the open source projects are 20 years old, and all the new stuff coming out are these free-to-play games that are never finished, and they never want them to be finished, so you will continue playing them in desperate hopes that they do get finished, and then when they inevitably give up on you, you lose the entire game, along with all the data that they were harvesting in the meantime. If we don't want gaming to go down this route, we either have to change our copyright laws, change how we're buying things, or at the very least stop giving money that we don't have to give to companies that already have subscription services or already have ads. There's absolutely no reason why a game needs to be paid for, have a battle pass, have microtransactions, and also not value your privacy. And maybe these games are getting most of their money from kids who get their money from parents who don't really care about what their kids are spending the money on, but it's ruining the video game market when you allow your kid to burn your money on digital cosmetics. There's no reason why a picture should cost $20 when the supply is infinite. Anyways, those are just some of my thoughts that have been going around for the last couple years over these issues. There's probably a lot more I could say and a lot more I could add, but since I'm off script, that's all I'm getting right now. As I'm still trying to figure out my new setup, videos are going to continue being all over the place, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll try to get one up next week. I'll see you guys then.